So what's up, everybody? I've had a couple experiences over the past couple of days that got me thinking a lot about how much I depend on other people and my dependence on them and their dependence on me. The first of those was I saw a movie called The Martian, which I won't spoil it for you, but it's about a guy who gets stranded on another planet and how he very resourcefully tries to survive. And the second one is that I've been stuck in a lot of snow for the past few days without any way to get out or get food or anything. So today it's melted a little bit and I've finally been able to get out. But both of these experiences have really showed me how much I really depend on other people. And, you know, I depend on grocery stores for food, depend on snow plows to get me out, four-wheel drive to get me around, and most days I depend on my wife just to put together a coherent outfit. And then another thing happened, and that is January 22nd, which I'm sure some of you know is the anniversary of abortion becoming legal in America through all 9 months of pregnancy for really any reason. And that was the anniversary of the Roe v. Wade and Doe versus Bolton decision. Oh, look! Animal tracks. That's cute. Since I've been stuck inside, I've been spending a lot of time on the Facebook and the interwebs, and I found myself in some discussions with some of my friends, some of whom are pro-life, some of whom are pro-choice, and they're lovely people, but we disagree about some things. And one of the arguments that some of my pro-choice friends have been saying about why, you know, abortion should be illegal or why abortion is moral is that the unborn is totally dependent on his mother. He can't survive outside his mother, at least not for large portions of the pregnancy. It's totally dependent radically and in every way on its mother. And that's really gotten me thinking, because I've been thinking so much about my own dependence. Why would it be that our dependence on another person, our dependence on our mother, or our dependence really on anybody would make me less human or less alive? And I mean, my friends are, you know, willing to admit scientifically, of course, that human life begins at conception. There's not really any debate about that. I mean, that's just what the science says. But they would argue that, in some sense, we're not really fully alive until we're independent. We're able to survive on our own. And that just got me thinking, who of us is really independent? Aren't we all really dependent on one another? And second of all, why would that matter? Why would us being dependent on one another make us less alive or less human somehow? And I thought this was a particularly interesting perspective because my pro-choice friends often call themselves feminists. And I think that's very common for people who are pro-choice to call themselves feminists. But one of the core ideas of feminism is that women are valuable and women are humans, whether or not they're wanted by anybody, whether or not they're useful to anybody, whether or not they are dependent or depending on anyone else, that they're still valuable and just as worthy as anyone else. That got me thinking more about, not only am I totally dependent on other people in lots of circumstances, but there are times in my life when other people are totally dependent on me. Yes, my independence makes me feel alive and human and accomplished and all those sorts of things, but more animal tracks. Yay! But it also got me thinking, there are many times I feel very dependent on another person, that I feel most alive, that I feel like, hey, somebody loves me, somebody cares about me. I can't do this on my own. That makes me feel really alive and really human. And there's other times that other people are depending really on me, and I realize, wow, this person really needs me. This person's really depending on me. And that makes me feel really human and really alive. So I want to propose an idea that this interdependence, the fact that we need to depend on other people and other people need to depend on us, doesn't make us less alive. It doesn't make us less human. It makes us more human. It makes us more alive. Because what sort of life is that? To be totally independent, totally free, liberated in that sense. I'm getting snow in my boots. And so I have a challenge for us to think about, whether you're snowed in or whether you're out living it up in your four-wheel drive. One of the times and places in my life when I'm totally 100% dependent on another person. And one of the cases where other people are totally 100% dependent on me. What are my times of interdependence? And do those make me more human or less human? More alive or less alive? I want to end by paraphrasing an idea from the philosopher Alasdair McIntyre, who says that most of us will spend the first part of our lives being given more than we can ever be repaid. And most of us will spend the second part of our lives giving more than can ever be repaid. And I would argue that that doesn't make us less human. That makes us more human. Thanks for watching. I'm going to go home and get warm. Whew. I wonder what this is. Is this some sort of big giraffe dragging two tails?